to No Skips, the show where we put our headphones on, we hit play, and we don't skip any songs on the albums that I'm talking about. Today's album comes to us from the year 2004. In fact, it came out in November of 2004, and it was a big, big album, kind of in that, festival season, if you will, and especially that next year in 2005. The band is Relient K, and the album we're talking about today is Mmhmm. And I hope I pronounced that correctly. But you will know this album because it's got clouds on the cover and it's got a little flower. You should be seeing a picture of it. I can't ever get the direction. You get what I'm saying. Look at the screen. There's a picture on the screen. All right. I can't figure out where to point. But it's a great album. It's a great album. It's a No Skips album. And I got to tell you, before we get into this album, I knew about Relient K prior to this release. But I was a kid at the time. 2004, I was born in 93, so I would have been about like 11, I want to say, when this album came out, or getting ready to turn 11, because they released it in November, and my birthday is November 11th. So I knew about this band, but I was, like I said, a kid. And I knew about this band because they were going around on the Christian festival scene. And they were pretty big. They had, folks that were looking forward to seeing them. You know how it is at a festival. Sometimes you go to a festival and, you're looking for something to do, so you go and check out whatever band's playing at the time. That wasn't the situation for Relient K. There were people who actually showed up for them, even early on, who actually just wanted to see them. They didn't care about anybody else on the schedule for the festival. They wanted to see them specifically. So even though as a kid, I didn't really know about, having that feeling of this band's going to be big, I could tell by the people around me, this band was loved. This band was beloved, and people wanted to see them be successful. And I knew that because they came out with an album in 2000, self-titled release called Relient K, which had the song on it, Pressing On, which was a big tune for them. And then in 2001, they had the Anatomy of the Tongue in Cheek, which was a big album for them as well. And then, of course, they had Two Lefts Don't Make a Right, but Three Do. That is an album I may feature on this show. I don't know, though. I can't commit to that at this point. But I will mention it because that album has 4 different covers to it. 4 different covers that they released for that album. And a lot of Relient K fans will do their best to get all 4 covers because each one's a different color and it looks kind of cool. Okay. But this album, in 2004, this was the one that really shot them to stardom, and it had 2 singles off of it. Be My Escape was 1 single, and Who I Am Hates Who I've Been. Both of those songs, if you just listen to those 2 singles, you're doing something good for yourself, okay? It's worth it, all right? And if I'm talking to Relient K fans, because I never know who I'm talking to on these videos, but if I'm talking to Relient K fans, you can back me up on that in the comments below. I would appreciate that. But those 2 songs, fantastic. This whole album is fantastic. It's 14 songs long. It's 50 minutes. So if you can commit an hour, okay, commit an hour of your time to listen to this album, it's worth doing, okay? Now, some of my favorite songs on this that were not singles. We talked about the 2 that were, but here are some of my favorites that were not singles off of this record. The One I'm Waiting For, a really, really good tune. I So Hate Consequences. Really enjoy that song. The only thing worse than beating a dead horse is betting on one. That's kind of funny. And I'm not saying it's funny that the horse is dead. I'm saying it's funny because I just talked about a Fall Out Boy record and about how Fall Out Boy had long titles that were kind of odd and, kind of something similar there. But anyway, that's a good song. My Girl's Ex-Boyfriend. I love that tune. That's a good one. More Than Useless. That is a really, really solid song. I remember that one on Christian radio a lot. Being played. Which to Bury, Us or the Hatchet, another one of my favorites. And then they also have This Week the Trend is another good one, and Life After Death and Taxes is a good song as well. But again, 14 songs on this album. You really can't go wrong checking this one out. But it came out in November of 2004. It really became a big hit for them, though, in 2005. Like I said, once they started getting out on that festival scene, it was kind of game over in a way, because a lot of people at that point were going, I know who this band is. I had already had time to listen to the album. Now I'm able to go to the concert and sing all the words. And I'm sure that must have been a really cool experience for the band, because like I said, from an early on point, they had people invested in them, but I don't know how many of those people memorized the lyrics, right? And so when this album comes out, it obviously sells a ton. They go out on that festival circuit, and now the crowds that were pretty significant before are now massive, and you have all these people singing your song back to you. That must have been a really cool experience. But that album came out in 2004. Again, was a big deal in 2005. I remember that Be My Escape video getting played a lot on MTV and VH1. And then I will mention this just briefly. 2007, they came out with their next album release. They had an EP in between and this next album that I'm going to mention. But the EP, it had a song on there that was featured in Chronicles of Narnia, which was pretty good. But it was an EP, you know. So the next big album release from them came out in 2007, 7 years ago. And that's another solid album as well. I'm not going to say it's a no skips album because I do skip a couple songs on that one, but it is a solid album. And then after that, I kind of lost touch with Relient K. Not to say it like I know the band personally, but I lost touch with their music, and I haven't really gotten back, to listening to all their records again in quite a long time. It's actually something that I plan on doing at some point soon to see if I like, some of their other stuff. But again, that 2004 album, it is a great one. It really is. It's so great. They've actually re-released it. They've gone out on tours of just those songs. It's a good one. You really you owe it to yourself. Listen to it one good time, and then make sure to come back to this video and you let me know if you skipped any songs on it, okay? But again, the run time on it is 50 minutes long. It's worth the investment, my friends. Check it out. Let me know if you skipped any songs. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time with another episode of No Skips.